listening to Oluyole 98.5 FM.
The news.
Good evening. I am Adetoke Oluyole. With me is
Josephine Oluwabumi. Good evening.
bringing in Newscope, our daily news program with in-depth reports, interviews and commentaries. First, the highlights. United States Congress seeks sanctions against Miyetti Allah over alleged religious freedom violation.
Court fixes November 20 for Nnamdi Kanu's trial judgment.
Oyo CJ frees 83 inmates at Apolongo Custodial Center.
A student identified as suspect in Indonesia school explosion.
Now the details. A new bill introduced into the United States Congress aims to impose targeted sanctions on the Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria, MACBAN, and the Miyetti Allah Kauta Ore. The bill cited alleged severe violation of religious freedom, with the proposed sanction listed to include visa bans and asset freezes for individuals associated with the two groups. Representative Smith Christopher, who sponsored the bill, commended United States President Donald Trump for redesigning Nigeria as a country of particular concern, CPC, under the International Religious Freedom Act. This came as the federal government said on Thursday that it was not in any panic mode over the position of the United States on the matter of alleged genocide against Christians in the country. The government also assured that it has opened up channels of discussion with the United States and assured that it is committed as ever to ensure that everyone is safe, irrespective of religion or ethnic background. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu also assured that his administration would defeat terrorism and that he is determined to deepen global engagement and intensify the fight against terrorism and criminality.
Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has declared that Nigeria will not be intimidated despite growing international concerns over alleged Christian genocide following threats of possible U.S. military action by President Donald Trump. In a statement posted on his verified social media handle today, President Tinubu said Nigeria will continue to assert itself on the global stage with calm, clarity and a strong sense of purpose while reaffirming the nation's sovereignty. He acknowledged that terrorism remains a long-standing challenge Nigeria has faced for nearly 2 decades, but assured citizens that his administration will decisively defeat it, stressing that national security is non-negotiable and the government will never compromise on that principle. The president, who vowed that no effort will be spared in eliminating threats to peace, also called on international partners to sustain their support for Nigeria's security efforts, emphasizing the importance of collaboration in maintaining progress.
The Federal High Court sitting in Abuja today fixed November 20th to deliver judgment on the 7-count terrorism charge the federal government filed against the detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu. Justice James Omotosho okayed the matter for judgment after Nnamdi Kanu failed to open his defense to the charge within the 6 days allotted to him by the court. Rather, Mr. Kanu today filed a motion wherein he challenged the competence of the charge and the jurisdiction of the court to try him. The court had initially stood down the case for 1 hour after the defendant, who is representing himself after he disengaged his lawyers, indicated his intention to file his defense. However, in the process he filed, the IPOB leader insisted that his persecution was based on non-existent law. He argued that the Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act, under which the charge was brought against him, had since been repealed.
The Lagos State Commissioner of Police, Mr. Oluyole, has reiterated that political activist and former presidential candidate Oluyole remains wanted by the police, with directives to arrest him wherever he may be found. Speaking with journalists during the show of force on the 3rd Mainland Bridge today, CP Jimoh said the police had intensified security across the state to prevent a recurrence of the violent protests witnessed on September 8. He described the ongoing exercise as a confidence-building operation to ensure residents of their safety. CP Jimoh revealed that the police had received intelligence reports about plans by Sowore and its associates to stage protests aimed at disrupting public peace, but officers acted swiftly to foil the plan. The police boss said that the activists had been evading arrest. The CP's comments followed controversy that erupted on November 3 when police announced Sowore was wanted.
The Corps Marshal of the Federal Road Safety Corps FRSC, Sheikh Mohammed, has urged motorists across Nigeria to adopt safer driving habits and take personal responsibility for protecting lives and properties on the road. Mohammed made the call in Port Harcourt during the flag-off of the 2025 Ember Months Road Safety Campaign. He said the campaign aims to reduce road crashes and fatalities often associated with the festive season by encouraging safer attitudes among all categories of road users. He disclosed that between January and September 2025, Nigeria recorded 7,715 road traffic crashes, representing a 10.04% increase compared to 7,011 crashes within the same period in 2024. He assured that the Corps had mobilized its personnel nationwide to ensure a safer travel environment during the Ember months through intensified patrol enforcement and public enlightenment.
Another 83 awaiting trial inmates have walked to freedom from the Oyo Custodial Center, Abolongo, following the compassionate gesture of the Oyo State Chief Judge, Justice Iyabo Yerima. The inmates were released after a thorough review of their records during the Chief Judge's visitation to the center. Our reporter, Olamide Owolabi, has the details.
In continuation of efforts to decongest correctional facilities in Oyo State, the State Judiciary, under the leadership of the Chief Judge, Honorable Justice Iyabo Yerima, visited Abolongo Custodial Center, Oyo, for the 3rd time this year, as another 83 inmates were granted freedom. The release was granted on various grounds, including health conditions, non-capital or bailable offences for inmates awaiting trial who have spent over 4 months in custody, and those who have spent more than duration of conviction if eventually sentenced. Some of the released inmates were previously charged with offences such as rape, murder, kidnapping, and stealing, among others. In her address, the Chief Judge, represented by Justice Ladimo Akintola, noted that with the nation's growing population, crime rates are rising faster than the available correctional facilities, hence the need for continuous decongestion. He advised the pardoned inmates not to take the privilege for granted, but to see it as an opportunity to start afresh and live responsibly.
This place lives up to its billing as a correctional center, because I doubt if any one of you will want to make the mistake of landing here again. The excitement with which you welcome the exercise of the show of mercy on you when we order you to be released gives us the impression that if you had your choice, you will never want to return here.
In his welcome remarks, the Controller of Corrections in Oyo State, Ayola Okpadeji, represented by Kayode Odewumi, appreciated the Chief Judge for her consistent efforts towards decongesting the correctional centers. He noted that the exercise would enable inmates with health challenges receive better medical attention and also help in proper classification of the remaining inmates.
Let me start by appreciating your efforts for what you did yesterday at the Custodial Center. I even thank you again to consider the rejected ones according to what public start them to be. But you see them as human beings like us, and you take your efforts to give them humane treatment.
A total of 19 inmates were released on health grounds, while 64 others regained their freedom on various other grounds. Olamide Owolabi, Business News.
The Oyo State government has stressed the need for media compliance with the provision of the 2016 Oyo State Anti-Discrimination and Stigma Law in the reportage of HIV/AIDS issues, transmission of related programs and reference to victims of patients of HIV/AIDS. The government, in a statement with media organization, said media organizations must avoid the use of stigmatizing language or terms and expressions that portray HIV as a death sentence or associate such with immorality. The statement also stressed the importance of accuracy, factual reporting and up-to-date information, especially on HIV prevention, testing and care. It urged the media establishments to collaborate with the Oyo State Agency for Control of AIDS, or ISACA, and the State Ministry of Health to disseminate accurate information in HIV, noting that it is also important to emphasize that HIV is a manageable health condition and not a hopeless situation. The statement further listed media-related prohibition under the 2016 Oyo State HIV and AIDS Anti-Discrimination and Stigma Law to include use of derogatory or stigmatizing language, disclosure of information relating to HIV status of individuals without consent or denial of benefits, rights or access to public facilities due to HIV status. Violation of the law, according to the statement, attracts fines of 250,000 naira for individuals and 500,000 naira for organization, or a jail term of not less than 1 year.
It was a moment of celebration, tradition and continuity in the ancient city of Ibadan, as high chiefs in the Otun chieftaincy line got promoted in the Olubadan chiefs hierarchies. The colorful ceremony held at the Olubadan Palace attracted dignitaries, family members and well-wishers who gathered to witness the age-long process that symbolizes progress in the traditional leadership hierarchy of Ibadan land. Staff reporter Bimisola Adebayo has details of the event.
The climb to the throne of Olubadan of Ibadan land is unique and systematic, unlike most other Yoruba kingdoms. It's based on a merit-driven, hierarchical promotion system rather than inheritance or selection by kingmakers. And so, following the crowning of the 44th Olubadan of Ibadan land, Oba Rashidi Ladoja, a vacancy opened up in the Otun line, and the elevation of Obas in the chieftaincy line. Those who were promoted are Osi Olubadan, Oba Edi Oyewole, who has been promoted to the position of Otun Olubadan, Ashipa Olubadan, Oba Kola Daisi, promoted to the position of Osi Olubadan, and Ekeri Olubadan, Oba Hamidu Ajibade, to the position of Ashipa Olubadan. Others include Oba Muitala Adebayo Akande, the Ekarun Olubadan, who got promoted to the Ekeri Olubadan, and Chief Kola Babalola Diabese Olubadan, who has been elevated as Ekeri Olubadan. The event was presided over by the Olubadan of Ibadan land, Oba Rashidi Ladoja Arusa I. In his remarks, Oba Ladoja congratulated the newly promoted chiefs and urged them to uphold the virtues of integrity, humility, and service to humanity, which the Ibadan traditional system is known for. The coronation ceremony was performed by the Oluyole of Ibadan land, Chief Wahab Popuola. Highlights of the ceremony included cultural performances, traditional drumming, and royal blessings from the Olubadan. The promotion, which forms part of the continuous succession process in the Ibadan traditional hierarchy, reaffirms the enduring strength of the city's age-long institution. Bimsola Adebayo, BCOS News.
The Managing Director of Nigerian Education Loan Fund, Mr. Akintunde Sawyer, has urged residents of Ogun State to encourage their children in public higher institutions to take advantage of the federal government's education loan scheme initiated by President Bola Tinubu aimed at easing access to quality education. Speaking at the sensitization program in Ijebu-Ife, Ijebu-East local government area, Sawyer said the NEL Fund has so far disbursed 116 billion naira as school fees and monthly stipends since the scheme began last year. He noted that President Tinubu understands the power of education and has provided substantial funding to ensure no Nigerian child is denied tertiary education due to financial constraints. The Executive Director of Finance and Administration, Dr. Frederick Akinfala, dismissed rumors that beneficiary certificates would be seized, explaining that the repayment begins 2 years after graduation within 10% of salaries. Chairman of Ijebu East Local Government, Dr. Dari Kendi, commended the initiative, describing it as a major step towards expanding access to education and securing Nigeria's future.
The Nigeria Employers Consultative Association, NECA, has backed the proposed 15% fuel import tariff, with the Director General, Wale Smart Oyeride, saying today that the move will enhance local production of petroleum products while discouraging overdependence on imports. Speaking with pressmen, Oyeride said the policy applies only to imported petroleum products, not locally produced ones, adding that if the 15% tariff is the collective price for allowing the nation's 4 refineries to collapse, then it is a necessary step towards recovery. He argued that even developed nations like the United States are adopting protectionist measures to safeguard their local industries, noting that Nigeria should not shy away from doing the same, especially in critical sectors. The federal government had improved the tariff increase in a directive to the Federal Inland Revenue Service and the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, mandating its enforcement, even as critics warn it could raise the landing cost of fuel. Oyeride, however, maintained that the policy is a step in the right direction, urging the government to extend similar protectionist measures to other sectors of the economy to boost manufacturing, conserve foreign exchange, and encourage local production.
Indonesia's national police chief has said that a suspect believed to be involved in explosion at a mosque inside the school complex was a student of that school. Investigations revealed that the explosion caused dozens of injuries and the motives are being investigated. Foreign Desk editor Folashade Akintola compiled the reports, and others are presented by Bimbo Akombi.
Listiu Sigit Prabawo said there were so far no fatalities from the explosions in the capital, Jakarta. The incident happened during Friday's prayers inside a school complex in Kelapa Garden, North Jakarta. Police earlier had tried to tamp down speculations the blast was an attack, with City Police Chief Asep Edi Suheli said the cause was being investigated. Witnesses reported hearing 2 loud blasts around Monday, just as the sermon had started at the mosque. North Korea has fired at least 1 ballistic missile towards its eastern waters, the South Korean military has said, just days after United States Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth visited South Korea for annual security talks. South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff confirmed the development on Friday, saying the short-range missile flew 700 kilometers, that is about 435 miles, towards the East Sea, otherwise known as the Sea of Japan. The Japanese government also said North Korea had launched a missile, adding that it is likely to have fallen in waters outside of Japan's exclusive economic zone. Pyongyang's latest launch comes 4 days after South Korea said its neighbor had fired 10 rounds of artillery into its western waters, and about a week after US President Donald Trump gave Seoul permission to build a nuclear-powered submarine. Experts say the move, which will see South Korea join a small club of countries using such vessels, will greatly enhance its naval and defense capabilities. The United States military has carried out another lethal strike on a vessel in the Caribbean Sea. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth has said 3 men were killed in the attack. Hegseth wrote in a post on X late on Thursday, which he said was carried out at the direction of U.S. President Donald Trump and struck a vessel operated by a designated terrorist organization. Though providing no evidence that the vessel was involved in drug smuggling, Exet said such attacks would continue until narco terrorists stop their poisoning of the American people. Bimbo Akambi, BCOS News.
Indonesia's national. To end this edition of Newscope, here again are the main points. A new bill introduced into the United States Congress aims to impose targeted sanctions on the Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria and the Miyetti Allah Cultural Hall over alleged violation of religious freedom.
The Federal High Court sitting in Abuja today fixed November 20 to deliver judgment on the 7-count terrorism charge the federal government filed against the detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu.
Another 83 awaiting trial inmates have walked to freedom from the custodial center Abolongo in Oyo town following the compassionate gesture of the Oyo State Chief Judge, Justice Iyabo Yerima.
Indonesia's National Police Chief has said that a suspect believed to be involved in the explosion at the mosque inside the school complex was a student of that school.
And that's all from Newscope Desk for now. It was packaged by Afolakemi Akambi and delivered by
Adetoke Oluyole
and Josephine Oluwabumi. Thanks for listening. Do not forget to tune in for the Yoruba version at 8 p.m. Good evening.
Sports and entertainment. We got everything you need and so much more. Yeah. 98.5 FM. Oluyole. 98.5 FM. Hear me now. You're down to the #1 station. Getting on quality information. Brighten up your day in so many ways. Tune to 98.5 FM. Oluyole. 98.5 FM. 98.5 FM. Oluyole. 98.5 FM. 98.5 FM. Man will live forevermore. Let the drums roll louder. Let the joy spread wider. Tell a friend to tell a friend that BCOS Father Christmas is here again. Oh yes, Christmas is here again. And the Broadcasting Corporation of Oyo State, BCOS, is bringing smiles and laughter to children across the state. Parents, guardians, schools, get your kids ready to meet the BCOS Father Christmas all the way from
charity. Gbogbo ẹni fẹ́ ṣàríyá o, gbogbo ẹni fẹ́ ṣàjọ̀dún, àbẹ́ni fẹ́ ṣèpàdé o, gbogbo ẹni fẹ́ ṣènáwó.